So this is a recap for live stream 333, and we reset the account. So we start with a new account for the trading session. Decide to make just one change just to reduce the number of setups we would have, and the results wasn't great, but there were some positives overall despite the results. So we'll have a look over at gold as we usually start. So came into the market, and let's see, I believe the very first setup I actually went long here and actually took it off for a loss. Prices sold off not too long after. We saw a pickup in volume as we headed towards 12 Eastern. Price came down, thought this could possibly be a inverted head and shoulders with a move up towards the 4039s, which we did eventually get. So it did have a setup right here. So took the short setup, held the position all the way up until where I was stopped out because I didn't get a counter signal. Instead, what I got was a signal to pretty much double down in direction. I was up to the max amount of contracts I was going to trade, so the position eventually was stopped out on this candle, so suffered a fairly big loss right there on gold, after which had a long setup over here, and with the long setup got a counter signal short, so took off the long setup for profits, then went short and took profits as that gave a counter signal long. Didn't take the long signal there because it was near the end of the day here and the volume is starting to fall off a bit. So on that trade we're looking for a move up to the 405.7s and would not have been stopped out. The stop would have been down at the 401.3s, came down to the 401.9s. I'll have a look over at ES. One trade, one very big loser over on ES. So over on ES, now this is a mistake and I take full responsibility for it. So had this candle forming, it appears it might have been some unscheduled news, but had this very big candle forming. Now it was printing a signal, so with the candle about to close I went short. The signal never printed, but I held a position. Actually got a bad fill. I think I was filled down around about 72s. Eventually did go into profit slightly, but prices hung around, held a position for a very long time. Again, didn't get a counter signal, got a signal to double down. Price sold off here, didn't get down towards the entry at all, came pretty close. Prices turned around, eventually got stopped out. With this trade, took a very big loss on ES here. I actually thought the stop was in a good place, all the way up there at the 88.75s. Thought prices may retrace back down, but that wasn't the case. Price continued upwards, never even revisited the point of control today, and so I have to walk away with a fairly big loss over on ES. And finally we'll look at NQ. So over on NQ, decided to go short this signal right here, but thought with it being better price and the point of control being in that area, went short. Prices hit the stop for that signal. Saw this move up similar to the ES trade. Thought the signal was going to be printed, went short. Prices didn't eventually print. Did not print the signal. Decided to hold a position. I was in too many contracts on NQ, so took off part of the contracts at the 225s. Eventually price came down and hit the default target that I had set for the trade of the short here. prices turned around, eventually got another short signal right here. Took this short signal because I was not in this signal because it hit target, and the target was hit there before prices retraced to the upside and made new highs on the day, and after which we've seen prices in a consolidation here. So we'll have a look at the account. So the account started at 6 today, going to be taking a loss of minus 62125. You can see here, this is where the account started today. So I can't even see. Oh. So the account started at 600. First trade out the gate lost 26, then lost 70 to my frustration. Eventually picked up 26, 150 on that NQ. Then 61, but we did have the unrealized losses pending on gold and ES. Eventually they get stopped out on gold for minus 101, ES minus 123, and the small winners here at the end of the day on gold is what brought the account down to being only down 62. At one point I believe the account was down even further. We can see the unrealized highs, well, the realized highs with the pending losses was around 137 or so. What we'll do is we'll have a look at our trade performance. Over on the trade performance, we can see here we did try to come in and reduce the amount of signals and the amount of trades taken, but it also resulted in bigger trades overall in terms of winners and losers. So we can see here 9 trades was taken. Recently I've been taking somewhere around 15 to 20 trades. Had 5 winners, 4 losers, 56%. Average win being 53, but the average loss being 82.81. That is a huge discrepancy between those two. That is certainly not sustainable. We'll have a look at our most successful instrument today was NQ. Picked up 168 on NQ, 3 winners, 1 losers, 75% accuracy, average win being 79,500. The issue we have, of course, we did use bigger numbers overall. The average loss being 7,500, and that was only one trade. That one trade right there. Now on ES we only took 1 trade, but this one trade was a pretty big loser at 123.125, so 0% accuracy, and that of course is added to the average loss column. And overall, finally, gold, we are negative, so I say 100, 2 winners, 2 losers, 50% accuracy. Now this is where those small winners at the end certainly brings down the average, but the average is pretty poor in comparison to the average loss. So the average loss looking at 63,750 and the average gain being 14 at 50% accuracy. Certainly not great. Not great at all. As well as a positive I can take from today is the P&L on NQ. Certainly the negatives being the bigger losses overall on ES and gold. I'm not a fan of the larger average losses, but I do understand that was something that was going to happen with the change in the strategy. It wasn't a change in the overall strategy, it was just the adjustment I made. So I may need to go back and look at that. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Good luck trading. Have a great day.